Our movie opens with Sergeant Davis, who's been separated from his team, and he goes inside an abandoned building and he sees some kind of ghost with his military goggles, and when he approaches this ghost, he gets killed instantly. And that sets the tone for this movie, Spectral. Okay, so let me introduce you to Dr. Clyne, and he's a lead engineer in DARPA. It's an American weapon research company, and he is the person that designed the hyperspectral imaging goggles that Sergeant Davis was wearing while he encountered the ghostly spectral thing. And Dr. Clyne is requested to be deployed in Moldova, a war-torn country in Eastern Europe, to consult on his invention and help the military. When Dr. Clyne arrives at the US military base in Chisinau, and he is greeted by the US Army General Orland, and he takes him up to meet the CIA agent Fran Madison. And they show Clyne the footage that they got from Sergeant Davis, and Orland tells Clyne that these spectrals, or apparitions as they call them, basically the ghosts, can only be seen by his device, and he asks him what his expert opinion is. And Fran thinks that these are advanced cloaking devices used by the Moldovan regime, insurgents, and she also tells him that the people of Moldova think that these are ghosts of dead people and that they're attacking because of the civil war in the country. Clyne tells Fran that everybody's biased on what they believe in, even her. And the people think it's a ghost because that's what they want to believe, and she thinks it's a weapon because that's what she wants to believe. And he asks General Orland to join the Delta team and to get close to these spectrals and see them with his bigger and more powerful hyperspectral camera, and then that might shed some light as to what these spectrals are. And the Delta team gets ready for the rescue mission after the Utah team lost contact the day before. And Clyne mounts his hyperspectral camera to the armored vehicle, and both Clyne and Agent Fran join the Delta team for the rescue mission. And it's a rescue mission because they're actually going to rescue the Utah team, if there are any of them left. And this team reaches the building where the Utah team lost connection, and the Delta team moves in for the rescue mission. And Clyne and Fran wait inside the vehicle to see what's what. And when the Delta team enters the building, they only find one member of the Utah team named Comstock. And Comstock is hiding inside a bathtub. And when they ask him where the others are, he tells them that they're all dead upstairs. And when the team goes upstairs, they see a lot of dead bodies, and they're all members of the Utah team. And dead bodies are not the only thing that they see. They also see the spectrals through their goggles. And Fran tells them to shoot at them, and they start shooting everywhere, but the bullets just pass through them, and the spectrals start killing each and every member of the Delta team. Clyne tells them to run out of the building, and Fran wants the soldiers to kill the spectrals and retrieve the technology because she still believes that they're just wearing some kind of cloaking device. But more soldiers just kept dying, and Captain Cabrera finally told the Delta team to retreat from the building. And the team managed to save Comstock, even though they lost a lot of their own members, and they left the building. And Clyne managed to see one of these spectrals, and it's like this humanoid-like creature. And Captain Cabrera took out a bazooka and shot it at the spectral, but it does not damage it at all. And then the spectral ran to Cabrera and just killed him. And the surviving team runs back to the armored vehicle, and they leave the building. And while going through the city, they hit a landmine and their vehicle gets destroyed. And Clyne takes his camera and they go into this abandoned factory. And Clyne sets up his camera and he sees multiple spectrals outside the factory. And the spectrals don't seem to come inside the factory, as if they hate manufacturing. And Clyne sees that these spectrals actually like manufacturing, but they do hate iron shavings. And there's apparently some kind of barrier of iron shavings that's stopping them from getting inside. And the team figures out that somebody must be responsible for this iron barrier. And from this, they figure that somebody must be inside the factory. And they go upstairs and they find two children alone in a room. And the older kid, Sari, tells them that their father put the barrier before getting killed by the spectrals. And Fran asks Sari what the spectrals are, and her younger brother Bogdan tells them that these are the spirits of the dead who are stuck here because of the war. And the team finds a way to communicate with General Orland, and he tells them that he's gonna send another rescue team for them. And he gives them the rendezvous location, and there they'll meet the rescue team. And the team also finds more iron dust in the factory, so they start making it into a grenade to stop the spectrals. And Clyne figures out a way to reverse engineer his camera and make it into some kind of flashlight so that everybody can see the spectrals with their naked eye. And he he also tells the team that the general is sending to do the same thing. And before they know it, they get surrounded by a bunch of Spectrals, and Sari tells the team that she knows a safer way to the rendezvous point, and the Spectrals are everywhere and they start chasing them. And the team manages to reach the rendezvous, but they are surrounded by Spectrals. And so the team launches an attack by throwing grenades to stop the Spectrals, but they are overwhelmed by them. And the rescue team finally gets there and they start shooting the Spectrals with a tank, and the Spectrals run to the tank and they just destroy it instantaneously. And in the middle of the chaos, Bogdan splits from the team and his sister runs after him to get him back, but he is killed by one of the Spectrals, and soon a helicopter arrives at the location and Clyne and the team are saved. And while they were in the chopper, they get a call from General Orland, and he informs them that the military base has been overtaken by these Spectrals and that they should go to this refugee bunker and he'll meet them there. And once they reach this refugee bunker, they are met with the allied forces of the Moldovan army. And once they get inside, they meet up with General Orland, and he tells them that there are only 19 of them left after the Spectral attack on the military base. And everyone starts arguing over what these Spectrals are, and people like Fran still believe that it's some kind of advanced cloaking device, but other people believe that this might be an actual supernatural paranormal event, and these things are just ghosts and they're here because of the war, just like Bogdan told them before he died. And they ask Sari what her father's work was and how he knew how to stop the Spectrals. And she tells them that her father worked on ceramics in the nuclear power plant, and this power plant was located inside the city where the Spectrals were first sighted. And Clyne is listening to Sari, and he finally figures out what these Spectrals are. And everybody goes quiet, and he explains that the Spectrals are actually a man-made weapon. And he further explains that the Spectrals are made from Bose-Einstein condensate, a material that doesn't exist in nature and is only made in labs. He tells them that this is why the Spectrals can kill instantly by freezing your bodies, cause they can get inside and just freeze your internal organs. And this is also why they're able to move through walls but not through iron shavings and ceramics. And that's why Comstock was safe, because he was hiding in a ceramic bathtub. He concludes that this is a man-made weapon and that it was made by the Moldovan regime, and it's gotten out of hand now and it is caped to the public. And the only place that's capable of having this power to make this kind of weapon is the nuclear power plant in the city. And General Orland finds the blueprint for the nuclear power plant, and they see that there has been a newer basement added to it, a place where there could be a secret lab. And Orland asks Clyne if there's any way to stop the Spectrals, and Clyne tells them that he can make a weapon that can break down condensate. And the team group up and they start making weapons all night. And in the morning, the team splits up into two teams, and the Delta team starts a ground offense to distract the Spectrals, while Clyne and Fran go through the roof with the other team. And on the ground, it seemed like Clyne's new weapon is working, and the Delta team is fighting the Spectrals outside the power plant and destroying them. And in the power plant, Clyne and his team get confronted by a Spectral, and while they were running away from it, Clyne and Fran split up from their team. And they go deeper into the power plant and they find this door to the basement. And Fran blows up the door, and when they go inside, they see the lab. And they find a bunch of people in lab coats just dead everywhere. And when they go to the control room in the lab, they see the Spectrals trapped in their cage, but there are also some cages that have been broken. And they deduce that something went wrong, and some of the Spectrals ended up breaking free. And they take a card from one of the dead researchers, and when they scan it to the main computer, it opened the manual of the research. And in the manual, it showed how to shut off the Spectrals. And all they have to do is just take out the power supply to the nuclear site. And outside, things were going kinda good, but after a few minutes, the Spectrals started to regenerate, like merging their bodies into one again. And the Spectrals ended up pushing back the Delta team and killing some of them, and Clyne started to unplug the power supply while Fran held the Spectrals coming to stop him. And he's able to cut off all the power, and the Spectrals just froze and they started to disappear. And Clyne and Fran left the compound room, and they go inside the research lab where they find these skeletons of dead people used to control these Spectrals. And the condensate was used to make 3D models of the dead people, and it basically turned them into Spectrals. And it looked like what Bogdan told them was actually kind of true. These spirits of dead people were actually trapped here, and they were made to power these Spectrals. And Clyne saw on the computer that the consciousness of the dead people is still plugged into the system, and he sees that they're actually in pain, and he disconnects the skeletons from the computer, finally releasing their spirits to leave this world. And with the Spectrals now gone, the US military and the allied Moldovan army take control of the city, and they remove the insurgent group that created these Spectrals and all this chaos. And a chopper is sent to pick up Clyne to take him back to Virginia, and he says goodbye to Fran and General Orland, and he finally goes back to home sweet home, the US of A. And that is how the movie ends. I hope you guys enjoyed our recap. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys on the next one. I love you guys so much. Bye.